Hello and welcome. My name is Caylee Jo and I make content all about my experiences as a theater educator. And today we are going to have a cozy little hot chocolate chat about the upcoming release of the musical Beetlejuice Jr. So I have done several of these videos where I compare junior shows to their full-length counterparts and kind of talk about the changes between the two shows. This is not one of those videos because, in full transparency, they have not actually released the script to Beetlejuice Jr. yet, so I have not seen it. But what I am here to do is just kind of give you all of the information that I currently know, which does include which songs were cut, by the way, from the full length to the junior version, and then also just kind of give my opinion on the creation of this musical in general, because I've got some thoughts.
It's showtime!
Thank you so much to @HamishTheater for recommending that I cover this topic. They commented on one of my recent posts, so thank you so much for the suggestion. If anybody else has suggestions on videos you would like to see, feel free to comment them down below. I always enjoy reading them. I want to start with the information that we already know, and that is that in 1988, director Tim Burton created this kind of dark, paranormal comedy called Beetlejuice, starring Michael Keaton and a young Winona Ryder. It was incredibly popular and to this day has a strong cult following. Fast forward to 2018 and Beetlejuice the musical premieres. And then we have the creation of Beetlejuice Jr. So this show, again, is currently not available for licensing. If you go to the website, it just says coming soon, so nobody can actually apply for these rights yet. But there are several groups who have already gotten to perform Beetlejuice Jr., and that is because they are pilot productions. So the production company will kind of, select a certain number of groups to perform the show just kind of as a test run to see how it works, how audiences react, and all of that. I do not know how many pilot productions actually took place, but through my Google searching, I was able to find 3 different groups that performed pilot programs in the last year. I have my handy dandy little notes here. So those 3 groups are Theater Macon in Georgia, Riverdale Children's Theater in New York, and the Broward Center in Florida. Like I said, there may be way more groups that have done this pilot production, but those are just the 3 that I was personally able to find info about. And I want to share, over on TikTok, there is a user, and her name is Abigail.is.singing, and she has posted some videos of her run in her pilot production. She did it with Macon Theater in Georgia, and she played Lydia, and she has posted just some short little snippets of her performance as Lydia. And friends, if she is not a future Broadway star, I do not know who is. She is absolutely incredible. So please go check out her TikTok and watch those videos and support her, because I was just blown away. It looks absolutely amazing. One point that I would like to touch on, and something that I'm sure a lot of people are wondering about, is the fact that the original full-length version of Beetlejuice is rated R for strong language, sexual references, and drug usage. So obviously those are all really heavy topics to try to pare down for a junior performer. But here's my personal opinion on it. Those parts of the show aren't necessary to the plot. Whenever you remove all of those things, I don't believe that you're ruining the show. Are you watering it down a little bit? Yes, probably. But are you completely ruining the story? No, you're not. Which is why I do believe that the show can be successfully pared down from a full-length version to a junior version.
As I myself am strange and unusual.
So I am not certain if the junior version of this show keeps the plot point where Lydia marries Beetlejuice. And the reason I say that is because of the songs that were cut from the full-length version to the junior version. 2 of the 3 have this reference to Lydia marrying Beetlejuice, and so I'm curious if they've cut that plot point for whatever reason. If you know the answer to this, please by all means share it in the comments down below. Like I said, I'm not able to look at a copy of this script, so this is pure speculation. I would also like to point out that in that TikTok account that I mentioned earlier, some of the videos of the actress who played Lydia, she is wearing the red wedding dress that Lydia wears in the movie and the full-length version. Obviously, they can still put that red wedding dress into the show in some other capacity. It doesn't have to be a wedding dress, but she was wearing it in the videos. So it's up in the air. I don't know if they cut that portion of the plot where she marries Beetlejuice or not. But one of the reasons that I feel that way is because they cut the song The Whole Being Dead Thing Part 3. So this is the song where Beetlejuice demands that Lydia marries him in order to save her ghost friends Barbara and Adam. Another song that was cut is Barbara 2.0. This has nothing to do with the Lydia Beetlejuice marrying concept. I think this one was purely cut for the purpose of time, because it's not inappropriate. There's nothing wrong with it. I think that whenever you're cutting down a 2.5-hour show, you have to make some sacrifices, and Barbara 2.0 went out the door. So the third song that was cut, and I understand why, is Creepy Old Guy. So this song is relatively inappropriate, and this is also a song where Lydia is she's trying to trick Beetlejuice with this whole marriage situation, and so she's like kind of pandering to him in this song, which is another reason why I wondered if the marriage component is taken out of the plot entirely. I'm honestly surprised that they only cut 3 songs from the full-length version to the junior version, although I have no idea how much they cut songs down. So a lot of the time they won't actually completely eliminate a song, they will just straight up cut it in half. So that could have definitely happened with a lot of these other songs that did make it through just for time purposes. All right, so now we have the hard-hitting question: is Beetlejuice Jr. appropriate for a junior-aged performer? And a junior-aged performer is generally going to be a middle school student. In my experience, middle school is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So that's kind of who I'm thinking of whenever I answer this question. So at the core of this story, we have this young girl, this teenage girl, whose mother has tragically passed away. And she was very close with her mother. Her mother was the only person that she felt really understood her. And in the meantime, now her father has remarried to a woman that Lydia does not connect with in any way. And this is really, really difficult for her. And that is some heavy, heavy stuff. But I do not believe that we should avoid heavy topics with middle schoolers just because they're heavy. Because this story, these themes, these things that are happening to Lydia, obviously minus the paranormal bits, but they're very relatable for people, for anybody who has lost a parent, or maybe their parents have simply remarried and they are not fond of this person that they've remarried. There's a lot of elements in here that can be very poignant and very relatable for middle school students. And I don't think that we should avoid this show just because there are some heavy topics in it. That being said, the show also, I'm making it sound like it's like incredibly depressing and like just darkness the whole time, and that is absolutely not true. It is also a dark comedy. It's very similar to Addams Family, the musical, in that way. So there is still a lot of humor in it and a lot of light moments. In the core of this story is the fact that Lydia forms a really strong connection with Barbara and Adam, the ghosts that are living in her house, and they help her kind of understand how to best persevere in her life from this point forward. So with all this being said, having the opportunity to actually read the script word for word, because again, I haven't been able to do that yet, just based off of the information that I have, I would consider tackling this show with my middle school students, with the caveat that I partner with the school counseling department or some kind of other organization to provide support and resources and have conversations about these heavier topics. Because the last thing that I would want to do is throw a show at my students that does have these darker, more difficult themes that can be very triggering for certain students and say, here, let's perform this show, because that's not, I don't want to run the risk of somebody processing this information in the wrong way. And so I would make sure that I was ready to have those conversations with students with a trusted mental health professional on board. And I would want to do all of that before we ever started producing this show. I would also, and I hadn't said this, I would also absolutely do Beetlejuice Jr. with high school. I would feel more comfortable doing this particular show with high school students than I would with middle school students, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't tackle it with my middle school students. So anywho, those are my thoughts. Let me know your comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, break a leg.